Hey everyone, this is Home Game, my channel where I speak into the void and sometimes it answers back, and when it doesn't, that's still okay. So I'd like to talk about The Lazy DM's Forge of Foes. It's written by Teos Abadia, Scott Fitzgerald Gray, and Michael E. Shea. Michael Shea, I'm super familiar with. He runs a channel called SlyFlourish. He's an author of a number of books that I own: Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master, The Lazy DM's Workbook. There's a Lazy DM Companion, I believe. And this is his most recent book, Forge of Foes. I wasn't I wasn't super happy with the cover art, but it's growing on me a little bit. All of the other artwork inside the book is great. It's a nice little cartoony artwork, but I'm unfamiliar with the other two authors. But looking at the things that they've done, they look pretty accomplished in their own right. I just haven't been aware of them. So I would encourage you to go look up these other authors as well. But for Michael Shea, or SlyFlourish, or the Lazy DM, or the Lazy GM, the Lazy DM is a bit of a misnomer because it should be labeled the Efficient GM or the Efficient DM. I think it's a little bit of self-deprecating humor here, but he writes about and talks about, because he's got a pretty full YouTube channel, the most efficient ways to run without really killing yourself with prep or worrying about improvising at the table. He gives you good tools for improvising, that kind of thing. I would recommend his books before the official Dungeon Master's Guide. Like, seriously. He's got books on fantastic adventures. He has his own little campaign setting. He's got a Patreon, which I'm told is amazing, which I'm thinking about joining, because it's also relatively inexpensive, and he has a ton of stuff on there where he's like playtesting a world called the City of Arches. And he also releases a lot of this kind of content for free, including maps and stuff like that too, that he puts together. So check out his channel. I'll pop it in the description. Let's jump into Forge of Foes. So I bought the Forge of Foes. Let's see, I have the book right here. I have a digital copy of this that came with it. The nice thing about this, when I bought it, I kickstarted this, and I've only probably got less than 10 things off a Kickstarter, but when I saw that hit, I was like, I have to have that. The nice thing was, when I went and bought it, it asked me to link it to my Drive-Thru RPG account. So a lot of these places, you buy the stuff and it'll send you an email with a temporary link, and you can go there and download it, and there's a certain time frame. But if you want to go back and find it again because you lost it or whatever, you can do that. But you got to comb through your emails to find it again, and then ask for a new temporary link. And for the most part, it's not, they don't argue with you. But this just said, hey, we're going to link it straight to your Drive-Thru RPG account in your normal library. And that's something I use often anyway. So I could just go straight there. In fact, I did for this when I was trying to look up the works of the other authors. I just went and grabbed my copy from Drive-Thru RPG again, downloaded it so I could get to the splash page in the back. I was going to show you my complete full copy of Forge of Foes, but I thought it would be more impressive from Michael Shea and the other author's standpoint if I just showed you their free preview, because this is a 30-page free preview of their book that you can get for free, and it's literally one click away when you go to the website. You go to their website, they give you the option to buy the book and have it sent to you. But right below that is an option to just download a 30-page free preview. And their 30-page free preview is great. So I figured I would just download that, and we could run through that real quick and talk about all the positives of that. Michael Shea, or SlyFlourish, or the Lazy DM or Lazy GM, he's one of the reasons why I actually felt encouraged to come on and talk, because he always tries to stay positive. He always builds up creators around him. He's always plugging someone else who's doing something awesome. Um, I have no dealings with him from a personal one-on-one level, but seeing all the content that he pushes out there to help new people get started and help people who've been playing for a while figure it out even better and become better at it. He's just a hugely positive influence on YouTube and Patreon and all of his writings that he puts out there to help people. So go check him out. I'll definitely put all his links in there, but he seems like an awesome person. I'd like to jump in on one of his games sometime, but I think he lives across the country. I live in Northeast Ohio. So let's jump into the book. Forge of Foes, tools and guides to build, customize, and run fantastic monsters in your 5e fantasy games. Some of this stuff could probably translate into other game systems, but he writes mostly for 5e. He also differentiates between strictly D&D and all 5e content. So he's like a big proponent of all 5e content. So here's your table of contents. All of this is not in this version that I have open here, of course, because it's just a free preview. But it does, where does it go down to? We'll just dig into it. One of the first things it talks about is determining challenge ratings, which is something that I know a lot of, especially new people, struggle with, because they're like, what do these challenge ratings actually mean? And they're all just relative to other creatures, of course, but how to, okay, but I have 6 party members and they're X levels. So how many of these thieves or bandits do I need to put in here to fight them? This covers that. Building monsters, determining challenge rating right here. Yeah. One of the monster statistics by challenge rating chart. Yeah. Let's see. I don't want to go too fast. So it's like a step-by-step, hey man, we're going to get ready to do this. This is one of the more awesome parts of this preview. I would print this off and just throw it on my GM screen, because I've never seen a chart broken down quite this well before, where it's like all the way on the right you see a list of common-ish monsters or a base point for the monsters in that challenge rating. But then it kind of makes it a little bit more, I don't want to say generic, but a little bit more universally useful in the fact that it just says, hey, here's their DC. Here's the equivalent character levels. Here's proficiency bonuses, damage per round, number of attacks it would get, damage per attack. So it tells you, hey, the damage output of this monster is going to be around here. So if you need to do a quick math in your head to say, hey, am I going to slaughter my party members real quick? Am I really batting above where they're capable? You can just glance down this chart. Yeah, Stone Golem, 3d6 plus 3. He does 4 attacks. He's doing an average of 16 every swing. So can the rogue in my party can the bard in my party survive an onslaught from the Stone Golem? Well, not really, but later on it talks about customizing them to make them stronger, or customizing them to. So you could say, hey, well, maybe a stone golem isn't really the right option here. What about if I just go down to maybe I'll just use the Ent column, and I'll just call him an Ancient Stone Giant or something. just reskin them and be like, okay, well, yeah, he can survive this. Dial it back a bit. This would be a super useful chart just to have on the back of your GM screen. It's all right here. One thing that I'll also post is this chart. You get it with this free preview. It is also he created a Lazy GM's 5e Monster Builder resource document, which is like a Creative Commons or open source document that anybody can go to. And a bunch of aspects of this book are just sitting there for free. So go check that out definitely too. So this book is really talking about like on-the-fly monster customizing and planning. It has monster templates. I would buy an entire book of just monster templates. I don't understand why this isn't the common occurrence in RPGs. Like, you could just give me a box or a book of templates. Like, I don't understand why the skeleton in the DMG even has stats unless they're just showing you samples of what stats of a skeleton could be. But it should just be a template that says skeleton for you to apply to any monster that's reanimated. Or zombie, or lich, or aberration. This one has beast. What if you want some mutants in your thing? You just want to give them a beastly trait. Celestial, dragon, constructs. What if I want to ooze dragon? How do I start? You know what I mean? So I should be able to just grab the ooze, apply a dragon template to it, and now I have my ooze dragon that I created for my world. Fey, elemental, fiend. These are all great. Here's ooze. They have. Hey, I want a. What if my elven rogue? She was infected by this virus that turned her into an ooze. How do I apply that template? Here you go. There's a template. These are traits that an ooze would have. Conditions, immunity, senses. They have a malleable form trait. All great stuff. Let's see. Common monster powers and how to apply them. So you want to add monstrous traits to things. Here they are. Or you want to just create a monster on the fly. You want I don't know, you want a brain devourer, but you want to give it the sneaky trait. Or spell fuel. Yeah, telekinetic grass, vanish. Like, just things you can tag on to make your monsters more interesting. Walk through how to skin a monster. Talks about monster tier levels. Your characters are all this level. What tier monsters should be thrown at them. Talks about choosing monsters based on the story, which should be pretty self-explanatory, but they pick it apart bit by bit to make it as easy as possible for you. Building a story around your monster. So you just want this badass flaming blade wielding humanoid like dragon, and that was the first thing you thought of. Okay, we'll build a world around it then. Building engaging encounters breaks that apart. Talks about environments, building engaging environments, and then at the end of this, it talks about all the little things that you might overlook. It talks about that movement, filtering rolls, damaging or hindering terrain, defenses in the environment, attacks and power-ups. And then at the end, it has 15 engaging environments for you to build off of. And then building spell casting monsters. So one of the nice parts about this book is a lot of people, well, probably not in our community because you end up reading a lot, but then again, like you're reading a lot. So you have a lot of books you're trying to get through. I know I have a lot of books I'm trying to get through. So you could say, hey, I don't have time to read another book. But look at it. The introduction is, I think the largest chapter in here, or the largest section in this book might be 6 paragraphs, maybe 5. It breaks it up into 1,000 little bits for you to just pick at as you want. So you may not have time to sit down and read this book. You may not have the day and a half, 2 days to sit down, run through this book real quick. That doesn't even include understanding it, you know. You may be able to speed read through this thing in an evening or 2, but it doesn't mean you'll understand every little bit of what you read. So, but you could say, hey, I'm just going to read What is a Foe and about this book tonight. Or I scroll down and I'm like, I'm going to study this chart today. Or don't read it front to back at all. You know, it's like, how do I get better at this thing? Let me flip open the contents, see if they have a section on it. You know, I noticed in my last game that I really wish I would have done this a little bit better. Flip open the contents, look at it. Or I want to include an aberration, but I can't find a pre-made aberration in any of the monster books I have that are really fitting. Let me just look at the aberration template and see if that sparks any, you know, creative interest. Maybe I can just grab this other thing and apply the aberration template to it. Yeah, I'm telling you, if you put out a 400-page book of templates, I would buy it. That was a real smart move on the part of these 3 authors. But this is free. 30 pages free. All of this included with it. Go to his website and get it. There's no reason not to. And if you really like it, you don't have to buy the full book if you don't want. I mean, the full copy is $40. He said, SlyFlourish or Michael Shea says that he's trying to get it to where you can get it print on demand from DriveThruRPG, because international shipping is like killing it. So he said there are print places out internationally through DriveThruRPG, and he's trying to get it through print on demand there so it can get cheaper to further locations. But just grab the digital copy if you want. I think you can just buy the digital copy. I'm sure it's offered through DriveThruRPG, just a digital copy. If you don't want to drop the 40 books on the... Here, let me look it up real quick. Let me make sure. I don't know why it wouldn't be. Well, I have it through DriveThruRPG, so it's got to be. But I got it with a digital bundle, or with the bundle. Got the hard copy and the... Let's just look it up real quick. Forge of Foes is $15 on DriveThruRPG. And it's worth it. If you're a GM and you're just looking to add more little creative inputs to your game, it's definitely worth it. I mean, while you're there, look at the Lazy GM. Let me make sure I'm getting this right. There's a Lazy GM workbook, the Lazy GM companion, and Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master. That's it. There's also a first book for the Lazy Dungeon Master, but I have that too. I mean, buy all of them. I mean, but the second one, the Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master, covers and updates things from the original Lazy Dungeon Master book. So it's the one I would buy if I had to pick. But they're all relatively inexpensive. I mean, they're all probably around between $10 and $15. So, and they're well worth it. Like I said, I would direct people to Michael Shea before I directed them to the Dungeon Master's Guide for D&D. If you have any experience with this and want to comment, I would enjoy the conversation. Otherwise, thanks for listening.